What comes to mind when you hear about match fixing? We bet that IBP would be first. It's been 10 years since they threw that game, but the internet is still filled with highlights from the match where the players are all doing stupid things because they place bets against themselves. But as is often the case, IBP's story is far deeper than it looks on the surface. Here we have a journalist who worked for free for almost half a year to find proof, pro players who lied to their audience thinking that they would never be caught, and a girl that got a ton of hate which she didn't deserve. You asked us to make a video on IBP, and we're happy to do so. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe because you're watching CYBERSHOKE, and today we're going to tell you about the most infamous match fixing scandal in CSGO. We want to start this video by praising Richard Lewis. He's a British journalist who solely worked on this case for almost half a year and never gave up until he got the job done. If it wasn't for him, all the guilty would have gotten away with it scot-free. So thank you, Richard. Alright, the date is August 21st, 2014. Two teams are facing each other at CVO League Season 5. IBP, who plays at the Tier 1 level, is up against Netcode, who can't even beat some NA mixes. Most people think that IBP are sure to be the winners today, but there was just one little catch about the game. You see, IBP had already made it to the next stage, so at this point, winning this match didn't really matter at all to them. For Netcode, on the other hand, it was a very important match, but still, this matchup was expected to be an easy victory for IBP. The skill gap between the teams was just too big. But here's what happened.
Doesn't go for the shot. He's going to try and get the flank off. He's going to have two right there. Can they line up for him? What is he doing? Why did he hesitate so much? Doesn't matter. Has the CZ. Gets one. Gets taken down. Hayes was so very low. They lined up perfectly for him, but for some reason... Oh, he says he wanted a knife.
The community instantly started accusing IBP for throwing the game, but nothing could be proven. Everything changed though when one little-known journalist who wanted to stay anonymous asked Richard Lewis to help him solve a match-fixing case. That journalist managed to get his hands on a screenshot of messages which confirmed the dishonest nature of the game, but the guy was so scared that no one would believe him, so he decided to reach out to Lewis. That conversation brought to Lewis's attention was between Shahzam and his anonymous friend. Now, Shahzam is a popular pro player, but back then he was working for Netcode as a content maker. He was bragging about how that game was rigged for skins and that everybody knew about it. When a friend responded to Shahzam that it wasn't right, he became defensive and told the guy to keep quiet about it. And then one important detail came up. It turned out that Dazed, one of the players of IBP, was a co-owner of Netcode. In other words, he would end up benefiting from his own loss because IBP already made it to the next stage, while Netcode still needed 2 more wins. Such a thing is an obvious conflict of interest, and in today's esports, such scenarios are strictly prohibited. Today, no one would allow Dazed to participate in the league against other orgs that he co-owns, but back then, it was still the Wild West. Shahzam still tried to excuse himself. His main argument was that the leaked messages were fake, and that was the only proof that Richard Lewis had. But even when it turned out that Shahzam also placed a bet on Netcode, he still said that it was just a lucky guess. He published and deleted numerous tweets that contradicted each other, and even went on Summit's stream to attack Lewis. And here's how Richard responded. He lied quite a bit over the last 6 hours, and deleted some tweets trying to cover his tracks. There's plenty of new stuff coming out. As I said before, he had a chance to do something good for the scene, and chose not to. Officials also tried to cover IBP. Their spokesman said that there was no such match fixing, and that the team was just in bad shape because of all the recent traveling they'd been doing. He also pointed out their lack of training on the map D season. CVO League organizers also stated that they take such situations very seriously, and actually conducted their own investigation and didn't find anything nefarious. Later, it turned out that their so-called investigation consisted of simply checking IBP's main Steam accounts. Wow, very serious approach, huh? After a few days, Lewis published another article where he talked about match fixing with the IBP case as an example. He started his text with a story that some anonymous group of pro players reached out to him after the first article and cried for help. They were sick and tired of match fixing in CSGO, and especially CVO. They decided to reach out to Lewis specifically because at the time he was the only popular journalist who not only was willing to report about the problem of match fixing, but also was trying to do something about it. Those players said that there's a whole group of people at the CVO League that organize rigged games. Here's how it happens. A few hours prior to the game, a favorite team gets a message with a request to play poorly. If the team agrees, then those people will place dozens of bets against them. In the words of those players, match fixing infected the whole league like a virus, so that every time a team had a favorite status in a match, several people would write to them with an offer to throw the game. Also, they pointed out that Shahzam is actually one of the head honchos in the entire industry. One of the players said that when Shahzam offered him to rig a game, he instantly unfriended him on Steam and reported what happened to CSGO's admins. We still wonder why the admins didn't do anything about it back then. At this point, a lot of people would think that IBPower would get away with their throw. Yes, all of the pro players understood they threw that game, but Valve needed irrefutable evidence. Even Shahzam, whose every word was a lie, managed to fool his audience and convince them that those leaked messages had been fake and that his bet on netcode was just dumb luck. Richard Lewis did his best to find proof, but couldn't dig anything up. It was almost half a year later when finally new evidence appeared from out of the blue. So on January 16, 2015, Lewis published his final article on that case, ending the careers of 7 pro players. But what happened? Let's find out. Over the next few months, the team collapsed and the players joined other squads. Dazed found himself in Tort, where he played with Derek D. Bourne, a very important character in this story. Bourne, like many other people, knew about the rigged game and bragged about it in a chat with his girlfriend, Ashley LaBeouf. We think you might be able to guess what happened here. As soon as this couple broke up, Ashley leaked their messages and started the second wave of the IBPower scandal that had basically been forgotten about by this point. In those messages, Bourne admitted that he took part in the rigged game. His responsibility was to make sure that the bets were placed on CSGOLOUNGE from multiple Steam accounts. Derek even boasted about how he wrote to Dazed in the middle of the game to win a few rounds because their bad playing was looking a little too obvious. Ashley was instantly blamed by the community for spreading fake information. People thought that she had photoshopped those messages to get revenge on her ex-boyfriend and get some attention for herself. It was our hero Richard Lewis who came to her aid. Exposing IBPower was an important task for him, so he reached out to Ashley and gave her a chance to prove that those messages were real. Luckily, there were no functions for deleting messages back then, so Ashley easily proved that her ex really bragged about taking part in some match fixing. Let's talk one more time about why IBPower had not been punished yet, even though the pro community knew that they threw that game. Well, it was a lack of proof, as we said before, but exactly what kind of evidence do you need to prove that a game had been fixed? Well, betting history, of course, but IBPower weren't a gang of fools, so they didn't bet against themselves and they didn't ask their friends to do it for them either. Because of that, the investigation had reached a dead end. But our dear Derek Bourne, while bragging with Ashley, dropped one very important name. He told her details about the person who actually was the very one who placed the bets against IBPower for that game. It was a Vietnamese student named Duc Pham, who played at the CEVO League under the nickname Good. You see, that match-fixing squad had one serious problem. While most organizations, like the CEVO officials, decided to basically try to pretend like nothing was wrong, there were some orgs that confronted the problem and were actively trying to solve it. Luckily, CSGOLOUNGE, the main CSGO betting site at that time, was one of the good ones. Lounge admins, mainly Courtney Timpson, gladly helped Lewis with checking Good's profile. This was a breakthrough. They had found dozens of Good's profiles that placed the maximum amount of bets against IBPower in that game against netcode. Lewis reached out to Good with an offer to make a statement about the situation, and at first he tried to excuse himself. Yes, I have many of the CEVO players, including IBPower on my friend list. But so what? How on earth is this connected with my betting hobby? Then when CSGOLOUNGE admin Courtney Timpson joined the conversation and told him that they knew about all of his accounts, he became defensive and quickly ended the conversation, saying, "I didn't expect this would be an interrogation." Lewis published his final article with the help of CSGOLOUNGE. They sent all the info to Valve, and all they needed to do was trace skins from Good's accounts to the IBPower players. It was at that moment when it became clear that the ensuing punishments were just a matter of time. So our dear Shahzam, whose leaked messages started the whole scandal, flip-flopped his position one last time, and in a last-ditch effort, decided to confess. In Shahzam's words, firstly he placed a bet on IBP's win, and didn't know about any match fixing. As an employee of Netcode, he told his colleagues about his bet, and then he got a call from the Netcode owner, Casey Foster. Shahzam says that Foster gave him a strong hint that the game would be fixed, so he should change his bet. Getting this info, Shahzam wrote to his friend who also placed a bet on IBP and told him to change it to be for Netcode instead. It was that friend who leaked this conversation with him. Shahzam also explained why he lied all the time. He said that at first he actually wanted to tell the truth and even had plans to reach out to Lewis, but the Netcode owner, Casey Foster, told him not to do so because that would end up destroying the pro scene in North America. So Shahzam decided to lie to the audience, but only because of his well-meaning reason to prevent CSGO from collapsing in his region. And confessing everything after the last article by Lewis, now including incriminating evidence against him, was, that's just a coincidence. Just another case of dumb luck, right, Shahzam? Sure. In the next few days, Richard published some more interesting info. For example, iBuyPower suddenly dropped out of the upcoming tournament, and skin seller Joe DeMarco said that after that game, Bourne sold him skins with a total value of $1,200. On January 26, 2015, Valve got involved and spoke on the matter for the first time. Here's what they said in their press release. Recently, allegations of match fixing in the CEVO Season 5 match between iBuyPower and Netcode came to our attention. We can confirm by investigating the historical activity of relevant accounts that a substantial number of high-valued items won from that match by Duke Goodfam were transferred via Derek Deborn Bourne to iBuyPower players and Netcode founder Casey Foster. Altogether, the information we have collected and received makes us uncomfortable continuing any involvement with these individuals. Therefore, we will be directing our CSGO event partners to not allow any of the following individuals' participation in any capacity in Valve-sponsored events: Duke Goodfam, Derek Deborn Bourne, Casey Foster, Sam Dazed Marine, Braxton Swag Pierce, and Kevin AZK Lariver. We could actually spend hours talking about this topic. There really are just so many interesting things to discuss, like how IBP betrayed Skadoodle, who didn't know anything, how they convinced young and talented Swag to throw the game and ended up giving him very little money because he didn't know the prices for rigged games, how Shahzam lied to everyone in order to allegedly save the American CSGO scene, but only decided to confess after Lewis sent evidence to Valve, how poor Ashley got a ton of hate that she didn't deserve and was blamed for trying to get some attention, and how Lewis tried to convince iBuyPower players numerous times to admit that they threw the game, but they refused until the very last moment. This scandal lasted for almost half a year, and many people suffered from it. It was the moment when the CSGO community realized that even top-tier teams can throw games for money in between big LANs. Well, that's it for today. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe because you are watching CyberShoke. Bye for now.